What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the Square Enix story going around. It was earlier today, actually, and, well, it's got the internet talking now, doesn't it? So what we have is the report, and I don't even think it's actually a report. I think it's, actually confirmed. A couple of things. They have absorbed a significant amount of losses. I think in terms of U.S. dollars, it translates to about, 141 million. So let's just say 140 plus million. And they also, the way their language was, certainly makes it sound like they're canceling stuff like that. That really does seem certain. They have canceled some games. But also they're, and going off Video Games Chronicle here, they've indicated it's canceled or rescoped several unannounced games. And I think the canceling part is the more kind of blunt thing, that was kind of indicated there. And that's pretty much it. Now, we knew this was coming, right? I think, I don't think actually a few weeks ago, it was actually probably a few months ago, we had started to hear, and it wasn't even from rumors, it was kind of from Square Enix themselves, they're going to do things differently. Some things inside Square Enix are going to change. We had heard that basically they were going to do a meeting to kind of go over it, what games do you continue, what games do you cancel, what is their new business practice. And they had not, I guess they didn't even warn us as the consumers, but well, they did, but they didn't just warn us. It sounded like they warned each other, the company as a whole, that they were going to go through this and there were going to be significant changes at the end of it. And now, the reports that we're talking about today are from those meetings. Okay, so they did the meetings. And I do want to start off just by saying this, I wish most of these companies, we all bag on Embracer, or I think Embracer is probably the worst of them all because of what happened, right? Ubisoft obviously gets a lot of hate. Ultimately, I want these studios to be pumping out quality games. You know what I mean? I want to give my money to games that I feel like are worth it. I want these people to be employed. I want the talent to shine through. I truly believe in that. I think I put my money where my mouth is and spent, tens of thousands, if not more, dollars in my life on video games. I want these things to succeed. So may I just say to start this off, I hope, whatever they did, I hope that it works. I really do. I want it to work. I want to see, hey, if things aren't working, and this is ultimately, the biggest point with Square Enix, right? If things are not working and you have to change them, there's not much else you can do. So, I see people talking about it, and of course, we're kind of speculating of what exactly is going to change inside there. But, they did have to do it. And I think the writing was on the wall. Again, they absorbed, let's even say 100, they absorbed $100+ million of loss. That is a ton of money to tack on when you don't make, a ungodly, this is not Microsoft. This isn't, I would say this isn't even an EA or a Take-Two. They could probably absorb these things better. We always talk about, a Sony, Sony can't afford to say with Spider-Man 3, say it loses them $100 million. They can't do that. They're not built for that. And neither is Square Enix. Different levels for these different companies, but Square Enix is not built to withstand 140 that's a lot of money that's going to be hit. So, again, I want whatever happened in there to end up working. Now, okay, the question is, what is going to happen? Look, I do want to double down on just all of the things that I've been saying for, a long time in terms of how the gaming industry is going to change. You can't have all these AAA games going the way they are. I think those of us, and I'm going to pat myself on the back because I really think I was ahead of this curve, by the way, for freaking years. We've talked about this, and it feels like the industry is about to catch up maybe in the next year or two, and we're still ahead of them for whatever reason. AAA games can't go on like this. You can't have every one of your games be this $200 million big budget thing for it to make $210 million, and you made $10 million from this huge investment. It's not going to work, and it's not working. Clear as day, it's not working. Now, here's another thing you can't do. You can't put all your eggs in, the NFT basket. Remember when Square Enix tried that one? Or remember when they tried Foam Stars just 2 months ago? They've made a lot of bad choices. And I have come out to, defend when Final Fantasy 16 came out, even when Rebirth has come out, right? And there's the debate of, did these games do well enough? And one of the things that kind of has been lost, or, it's there, but it's kind of all muddy because we don't really know, is it just the failure, quote unquote, of Final Fantasy? Or is it, what about the other 6 mistakes they made back in 2023? There were other games that failed last year, and everybody obviously had their eyes on 16 and the Sony agreement, but what about everything else that didn't go right? You know what I mean? So to rely on one thing, 16, to fix the other 5 games that went wrong, you can't do it. And again, that goes back to my fundamental point. Games cannot cost as much. They cannot take as long. And that's going to result in serious shakeups. Hence, why they're canceling things. Now, you know me. I mean, I'm a newer, fan of Final Fantasy. I want them to continue. Obviously, I need Part 3 to the remake trilogy. Eventually you're going to get 17. Do you remake 9? There's been rumors of that. I don't really think Final Fantasy gets touched all that much. I also don't think Kingdom Hearts gets touched all that much. Kingdom Hearts is probably their number one moneymaker when it comes to these big AAA games. I would not be surprised if Kingdom Hearts is pulling more than Final Fantasy when 20 years ago Kingdom Hearts had just started and Final Fantasy, I guess, was on the downward trend, but it was still doing really well, right? You're not going to touch Kingdom Hearts. I know people are worried about Dragon Quest, but that's another big one. I just think, here's the thing. You need to take risks. Like, these gaming companies, you need to have these games kind of come out of left field and see if they can surprise people and see if they do well. You don't get franchises if you don't do that. But on the other side of things, you got to pick your battles, and you got to pick games that are actually going to work. You know what I mean? And that's easier. That's very easy for me to say. I'm not in charge of a game that costs like $70, $80, $90 million, right? But when you take on these like offshoot, these random kind of projects, right? When you do something like a Foam Stars, you've got to be sure that it's going to work. And again, I get like that's really difficult, and it's not a for sure thing, but you got to make it as for sure as possible. And so, I would imagine they would double down on what works, or at least kind of works. Now, Final Fantasy probably does have to change. You probably have to trim it down. No more games that are 67, even like Rebirth, which is my game of the year. Rebirth is my game of the year. It's too big. It's too bloated. There is a lot of fluff in Rebirth, and I said that when I reviewed the game. The radio towers, all of the collectibles, some of it's fine, but you really don't need it all. And I guarantee you that costs money. Money you could just trim right out. Again, easier said than done, but those are the things I think you have to really take a look at when it comes to these Final Fantasy games. And I'm focusing on Final Fantasy because it's a big thing with Square Enix, right? But when it comes to like things that aren't Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, and Kingdom Hearts, you gotta just pick your battles a little bit better, and you gotta, I would say, go for just really cheap things. Not cheap in the sense of like it's cheap quality, but like try a couple games that cost 10, 20, 30 million and see if you can have just some amazing thing that comes from it. You know what I mean? I also, by the way, make a Queen's Blood game, the card game in Final Fantasy. I actually think is like a mobile gotcha type game that would do quite well. If you just want like a live service type thing, that would actually work. So let me throw that out there. Let's see if Square Enix, takes that. But yeah, I mean, some things are going to change. Obviously, again, some things are canceled. I don't have too many franchises from them that I care too much about. As long as you don't touch the ones I mentioned, I think we're going to be okay. And I wish the best for them. I want them to succeed. I like a lot of their games. You know what I mean? Like, Ubisoft is a little different. Like, I don't like all Ubisoft games. I definitely liked more of their games back 10, 15 years ago. But, like, Square Enix, like, I'm Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite franchises, period. You know what I mean? Like, I want this company to succeed. I don't want my favorite franchises of all time. It's selfish, but you know what? We're the consumers. We don't work there. We're not a part of it. Ultimately, we kind of just watch as things either succeed or fail. You know what I mean? Like, there's not much we can do other than support or not support a game. So just don't mess with Kingdom Hearts. Keep doing Final Fantasy. I like 16. Maybe it wasn't everybody's thing. Maybe change it up a bit. I mean, just make more Final Fantasies, make more Kingdom Hearts, and get your company under control. But honestly, no. It seems like they did. They had a plan for that meeting. They came out. Changes have clearly been made. And hey, a simple change is maybe not doing these Sony contracts that everybody, keeps bringing up. Maybe that is a change. Maybe that's something legitimately they're not going to do going forward. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.